Alright guys, welcome. Now, our current plan is to head to Lion's Arch and see what's going on there. This story is going to quickly transition away from our beloved Ascalon for a while. It will not be the last that Tyrix sees Ascalon, but we may be waiting for a while before it becomes relevant to the story again. However, we've been tantalized quite a lot by the brand, but not interacted very much with it, and there's a hell of a lot of content around here in the open world. So, kind of specially, for this start of this video, I want to take you to see some other stuff. We're back at the last whiskey bar here, by the way, which many of you pointed out isn't actually bugged. It's just that I voted too late, so it defaulted to branded each time. But yeah, we're going to go back to the Soot Road, if you guys remember. There's north-south road. We go all the way down it, past the ogres, and we're actually going to find ourselves back at the north of Fields of Ruin, which, you know, when we were last in Fields of Ruin, we never went further north than the Summit Peak tent, but it goes way beyond that. And it's kind of a very rarely explored area where we're going to see a bit of the brand crossing Steel Eye Span here again. Which, by the way, is a reference to a British rock band, I think. And the last whiskey bar is a reference to a brand, too. So there seems to be lots of things going on. Lots of little references and stuff in this area of the world. Yeah, we're going to go back to the Fields of Ruin, where the brand does continue south. And I will see you guys there for some very cool lore and dialogue. God, okay, yes, we see you in the sky, wherever you were. Ooh. So here en route, by the way, it wasn't my plan, but you can see that there's a heart region here where you have Blood Legion Char, the most brutal of Char, learning to get along with Ebon Vanguard. I can't believe they've paired me with this Char. I need someone who can cover me in battle, but he looks like his pelt couldn't cover me in bed. You're on patrol to make sure to protect your fellow soldiers. Act professional.
It's nothing major.
Another day, another battle.
So, here we are at the south, which is, in a weird way, if we'd kept going north from the treaty tent, we would have come up through here. There's a scout.
Legions have a treaty with humans, but pockets of human separatists between here and Ebonhawk use outlaw methods to put stress on the tenuous peace. Between them and the ogres, we have no spare time. We could use some help.
Interestingly, that last heart that they're trying to show over here near these fishermen, there's lots of fishing stuff going on there. When the game first came out, I found a broken NPC vendor there who would sell you some food for a certain amount of copper, and you could sell back for even more copper. So you could buy loads of the food and then sell it back to them for just exponential profit, infinite profit. Which I did not abuse, and like a good little boy, I did my bug report on that, and that was one of the probably the most significant bug I've ever seen in the game. Right, so back to Fields of Ruin, and if you check it out, we got lots more Ebon Vanguard here, and as we move south, we're now going to make a little bit more towards the brand and see a very special place. So here we are across the open fields. I love the open fields of the Fields of Ruin. I know that sounds really stupid to say. My God, come on. I don't want to get into a massive fight with these shady Char here. But it does just feel so, like, broad and open-planed and awesome. You can imagine just marching armies down here. So we can grab this waypoint. And you'll find we're at Thunderbreak Waypoint. And here, right on the edge of the brand, is a pretty meaty, big-looking Char structure. And, of course, it's being patrolled by the Sentinels. They got a pack Marmux there for some supplies, who say really interesting, exciting things. So, Sentinel Last Hope.
Need my help?
She says, "We don't see a lot of action from the Dragon brand at this gate, but they're out there. I know it. They're just waiting for us to let our guard down." What's so important about this place? Sentinel's Perch is the only place in this part of the brand. We get plenty of injured travelers coming here for help. There won't be any reinforcements if we get overrun, so we have to remain alert. They got this big door here, which presumably is a way in, but they will never open for us, so we have to kind of go around the sides here. You got another little outpost over there. Well, that looks like maybe Vanguard stuff over there. But yeah, as we move in, there's some really beautiful dialogue here that kind of expresses the world at a scale the game could never really show. So here we are at Tenebron Lake with this scary-looking road leading out into the brand that stretches as far as the eye can see. And here are some Sentinels on the front line. They're defending the entrance there. The place is called Sentinels Perch. And we get a vendor here, Churga Quickwhittle. who just sells regular stuff. I've tried cleaning my inventory a little bit because, as I teased at the end of the last episode, we're about to do a big fight against a very large monster, which, if we're successful, we'll get tons of loot. So I've tried to clear ourselves up. But look how big and open this place is. There's a blacksmith here. We can move up these stairs. And check it out, there's all these different NPCs. No real reason to come unless you're just a discerning adventurer that tries to pay close attention to these things. So Sentinel Freebuilder says, this view never changes. Nothing but Brandstorm and that cursed crystal as far as the eye can see. All I can do is make sure this view doesn't spread any further. Sounds like you aren't content with that, we say. She says, of course not. If I could rip the brand out of the land with my own claws, I would. But I can't. No one can. And here we're actually going to find a little bit of research into maybe how to tackle the brand and its master, Kraukatoric.
Got what you need.
More guys here selling blood whiskey and fire water, it seems. Over here, there's another Sentinel. Where is it? One of these guys, I know for a fact one of these guys has some great dialogue. Okay, you can see the banners as well, the 3 legions. That is iron, blood, and then, oh no, ash, blood, and then iron on the right, the banners. The 3 banners are, one day maybe there'll be 4 again, guys, when the Flame Legion comes back into the fold. I guess the person I want to talk to isn't actually in the building. Where else might they be? They're not on the desk out here. You, Sentinel Longmane, maybe it's you? Entry to the barracks is restricted to Sentinels. Trust me, these soldiers earned a bit of rest. Oh, that must be on the other side of the door that we were seeing a second ago. It's very rare for Guild Wars to do that, present the idea of an interior that you can't fully go into anymore. The original game did it all the time, but not so much this one. These Sentinels at the front door are dead now. There is someone. Hold on, guys. We will find them. Oh, do you know what? I think that they're actually out of the base. Hold on. I think that they're down this cliff in fairly dangerous territory. Nice to see another player helping the Sentinels out there. Here, let's come down. Look at these giant crystalline bubbles and things. There's so many cool assets in the brand. One of the expansions gives you a lot more brand as well at level 80, and the stuff there is so cool. Yeah, check it out. There's more of them patrolling at the front here. Quite a wall they've built here, quite sheer. Sentinel Bold Swing. It's like the dragon brand creeps in a little more every night, eating more and more of the perch. One of these days, it will swallow us completely. The idea that it moves, you know. What do you do out here? I used to do construction, but these days it's just repair. I've never seen a more corrosive and corrupting element than the brand. It's worse than rust, rot, and erosion combined. So a pretty interesting insight into the material science of all of this.
Hey, over here.
Listen, we're short-handed here. Legionnaire Cruelshot and a Warband are out doing depopulation patrol. You know, search and kill. She'll need a hand. Are you interested? Well, we can actually see the event that that's talking about is nearby. I'm not interested, I'm afraid.
Any news?
Burn my eyebrows. It seems like there's more branded creatures out here every day. It will take more than we can alone to stem this tide. Oh, help. What can I do? Kill any branded in the area. Also, branded crystal clusters have been stirring up activity in the lake, so crush any crystals you find. Wait, what's so dangerous about the crystals? Most crystals were formed during the branding, but sometimes there's new growth, especially in the lake here. Makes you think about how the branded creatures keep reforming, don't it? Best to crush them all, I think. So that's to do with the heart, and she'll eventually sell us stuff if we help these people out enough. This still isn't the dialogue I want. Where is it? My God! Oh, that thunder sounds so good. Well, perhaps it's deeper in, actually. Maybe it's deeper in. I don't know. All right, let's just keep traveling in. The main thing I want to show is not this outpost anyway. It's just on the perch. We're going to wade into the brand now. We're going to have to get used to doing this. That person on the roller beetle mount just skimmed across that expertly. We're going to have to swim. Here's the Sentinels. That's the whole warband. They'd come into this lake and try and deal with the crystals and stuff. We're going to swim across. Underwater branded stuff is also particularly interesting, and we'll get our fill of that in all due time eventually. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, we're going to go back in. Now, another thing. Here you go. There's an entrance to Blaze Ridge up north again. If we'd risked the brand in Blaze Ridge, we won't go through that. The other thing I want to show you guys is I'm actually back to rifle. This is... Oh, no, I'm not. I re-equipped a greatsword so we can move. But I got a rifle set up for today. Check it out. A Vigil rifle. Which is a special skin we haven't seen. And the reason that I'm using this is for the big fight that we're on the cusp of dealing with. Here we're at a place called Tenebron. This is the Tenebron waypoints. Got some players here traveling around. Looks like 2 friends have picked up the MMO together and are playing it together. Kind of nice. They're humans. And we're going to keep moving up deeper and deeper into sort of remote areas of the brand. Remember, I've already described Fields of Ruin as a fairly cozy area of the game.
Look at that view.
And this, I would say, is kind of, if there is such a thing, a cozy area of the brand. Right, so Varam's Run. Crange Load Finder. He says, they say you should know your enemy, but what if the enemy is the land and the sky itself? We're trying to get to know the Dragon brand by researching its parts, but it's tough going. I'd like to help. What do you need? Well, there are experimental capacitors that need to be discharged, and the water samplers need to be pumped regularly. And if you see any branded creatures out there, smash them to pieces. And we can ask him for a bit more detail about this stuff. They've set up pipes to pump water from the lake nearby. And the capacitors, they're researching the power of the brand Storm. Someone set up capacitors at key locations, and you need to make sure they're okay. But up here, we can find there's a little place, Varimhold Outpost, in the middle of the brand, surrounded by it. This might... I'm banking on this being it, guys. I've built it up way too much now. He says, you're new to Varimhold. If you meet with any trouble, talk with one of the guards here. They're trained to keep this place secure. Are you a Sentinel? Many of us here are. We're making sure the brand doesn't spread any further. I'd like to think we're on the cusp of victory. It's either that or certain death. Okay, here's a guy, a scholarly char. Loom Arc-Weld. You see those bolts of lightning out there? Pure branded energy.
But if politics distract us from the brand, we won't survive.
Agreed. My latest research has serious implications.
Damned renegades. If I ever meet one of those feeble-minded curs, I'll stab him in the foot and spit in his face.
Jesus, okay. I've been studying how the storm's swells affect the branded creatures, and the results are promising. What did you learn? Well, as the brand storm swells, the branded creatures behave erratically. Some grow in number or become violent, but almost all seem drawn to the storm. Why do you think that is? I believe they're drawn not just to the storm, but to the collection of pure branded energy. If I could study it firsthand, I could learn more about the nature of the dragon brand. Interesting. So here we hear Kraukatorik's minions, at least his, seem drawn to energy. What does that mean? Well, these guys were chatting. I don't know. This guy seems a bit injured. Legionnaire Broad Hackle. I can't wait to get back out on patrol. I just need my head to stop spinning. I thought he was going to say my hand to stop shaking. You look roughed up. What happened? We were bringing in supplies when a branded human made a run on the gates. I vaulted off a Marmux and took it down. Turns out crystal creatures don't break your fall very well. Well, I'm sure you'll be back out there in no time. Don't worry about that. This Sentinel was tending to them, I think. We're going to see a very interesting face in a second. I think we've already seen that guy. Which is an Asura in this building here, who's doing a bit of research with the Priory. Check it out. Scholar Delpha. Now, I was collecting data on Primordus' minions when I heard about the Dermot Priory's research here. I figured cross-referencing the information on Kraukatoric and Primordus will produce a breakthrough. So, again, Asura most interested in Primordus. So, what do you know about these two dragons? What do you know about Kraukatoric? The Elder Crystal Dragon flew down from the north and created the dragon brand with his breath 5 years ago. Flora, fauna, rocks, and even the air were corrupted. A formidable power indeed. So, what he was doing up north is a valid question to ask as well. What about the fire dragon Primordus? The Elder Fire Dragon is believed to be the first dragon to awaken about 200 years ago. No one knows where it lives, but we know it's the living embodiment of an unquenchable inferno. So nobody even knows where this guy is. That's one of the coolest things about the Fire Dragon. It could just be anywhere under your feet. And yeah, he's the first. What do you hope to learn by comparing these two? I'm exploring 2,872 possibilities. Containment, implosion, diversion, destruction. A plan to weaken the dragons and their armies. Anything that would be better than what we have now. Good point, and good luck, I suppose. Researcher Skyby says... Delpha studied reports from Sentinel Perch and noticed something unique. While destroyers usually swarm in all directions, Kraukatorik's minions migrate southward along the dragon brand. Ah, so here's a difference as well. I guess we've just heard that they are drawn to magic and they're also all migrating southward. Well, south would be where the dragon himself is, no? Odd, have you found anything else? We're slowly deciphering how branded ore reacts to concentrated bursts of energy. We've even found a promising lead on countering the effects of the brandstorm. An interesting thought then, guys, is actually as you move further south down the brand, things get more dangerous and dense, closer to the dragon itself. While in the gameplay of the game, because the slower level maps are south, it actually in gameplay gets more dangerous the more north you go. But in the story, it's the reverse of that. So yeah, we get a little bit of information there about what's going on here. Transporting supplies to Varimhold is a challenge, especially with all the delicate instruments the scientists need. It's worth the hassle if they can do something about the brand, though. So that'll be a dynamic event to get these people up here. Another researcher, Grahar. I'm convinced that when Kraukatoric corrupted this stretch of Tyria, it gave us the means to destroy its minions. Maybe even itself. Ah, so this scholar thinks you can use... understanding of Kraukatoric to destroy Kraukatoric. What do you mean? Every branded thing contains information about the Elder Dragon's power. We only have to test them until we find a weakness. Once we find it, we can turn it against Kralkatorrik. This line is amazing. Try. I know that this is going to be a really long series of videos. Try to remember this for when we get to some of the expansions in the future. All right. What else we got? Well, a repair merchant, a regular merchant. What is this? Where is this? Okay, so basically, there's an NPC somewhere here who describes unending darkness, that they live here in the Brand now, in this outpost, or it's at the perch on the edge of the Brand, and that they just don't see sun anymore. That's it. It's all darkness all the time, but they do it because they are Sentinels, because that's what the Sentinels do. They talk about how they have been basically left their other warbands, that many of the Charter Sentinels are outcasts in some ways, but they're brave people who are kind of stuck here in just the blackness. And I really like that because it kind of shows the idea of how big the Brand truly is in lore, you know? Which the game can only do so much. Obviously, you can walk across the Brand at Steel Eye Span, and it doesn't feel very big, but the truth is that Steel Eye Span is this enormous construct that stretches for miles and miles and miles, and you can live days without ever seeing the sun again. That's so cool to me, and it's those little moments that flare my imagination, make me love Tyria as a place. It's beautiful.
More to explore.
Speaking of the edge of the Brand, here's the other big one. Right out here, through this tiny little exit of the Brand, on the far side in the Fields of Ruin, secluded from everywhere else, is a place called the Secluded Glen. And here you can find some trapped, maybe, happy little animals living on the edge of the Brand. And it's just this small little rock enclosure. And here we can speak to a traveling priestess who says, "Have you come to pay your respects?" And this is a human. She says, "To whom? If you don't know, then I suppose that's not why you're here. You're standing at the grave of the adventurer Colleen, without whom this truce between Char and human would not be in place. What did she do? She was part of a mission to retrieve a Char artifact, the dagger of Khan-Ur. The humans offered it to the Char as a sign of peace. She didn't survive the task. I will pay my respects." So here we can find a neat little pile of stones. A mound of stones lies undisturbed in this quiet grotto. Plants grow from the crevices and bugs go about their business on the rocks. Examine the stones. Someone placed these stones with great care and respect. It appears to be a cairn intended to memorialize a long-dead adventurer. Give me with this place of power.
May Melandru blaze your path.
Now, I've talked a lot about the novel Ghosts of Ascalon throughout the series. If you want the full story of how this grave came to be and who it memorializes, I guess you might want to pick up the book or listen to my audiobook reading of it when we get there in the story. But yeah, this is a really beautiful little bit of the game that a lot of people who read that novel have a nice moment when they come here, because it kind of honors a big event of that novel. There's even a Norn character, I think, that sometimes travels here who also appeared in the novel. And yeah, just a really nice, peaceful little secluded glen. So there you have it, guys. That is the Fields of Ruin Brand stuff. There's lots more Brand to the south even still that we haven't visited, but I think we'll leave it there. Now, the next big task before we go to Lion's Arch involves Blaze Ridge again. So let's move back to where we first entered Blaze Ridge at Kindling. Remember this outpost here, this little town, where they had built an enormous gun to take a beast out of the sky? Well, let's deal with this. On the top right, you can see we're under the influence of a meta event, and we're now finally going to do one. It's called Kralkatorrik's Legacy. Currently, it's dormant. It's in a state where it says Vigil and Sentinel forces are working to contain the threats posed by Kralkatorrik's minions. Now, if you come here real-world time at the right moment in real life, the game will change the state of this, and things will start occurring here. And it just so happens that I know exactly when that will be very soon. So, I wanted to give you a brief tour of the area before things flare up. What we're currently on is a battlefield, where a hell of a lot of stuff is going to flare up soon. There's a hero challenge at the very edge of it, which I find a pretty fascinating one. We're going to hide here, just to see if we can shake the aggro of the branded that are nearby. It looks like we did. This guy's just spawned though, so let's attack him. Here's a veteran branded Char, so a very dangerous Char protecting this place of power. Oh, I forgot we're on rifle, right? So I have to play slightly differently. Who we're going to have to take out. So let's deal with this.
That's the stuff.
There we go. We can fear him into the wall. And now we can walk up to this and check it out. Right here in the heart of the Brand at the very north, with lots of dangerous things around, like all over, that I'm trying not to aggro, we can find a place called the Birthplace of the Vigil. the birthplace of the Vigil. This scorched and gutted cavern is where the Order's founder, Almora Soulkeeper, was forced to kill her entire warband when they were branded by the dragon, Kraukatoric. So we've heard this story many times, and it's an actual visitable location in the game. How cool is that? And you can even commune with it to get some hero points, learn some new skills, bump up your discipline training. I mean, that's fantastic, right? And so, yeah, we heard this story. It's amazing to think that she was stood right here as the dragon flew over all that time ago. And that 5 years later, this would also become the site of some of the most deadly branded out there and one of Kraukatoric's champions. So here we've got some destroyed char machinery and a ton of defeated Sentinels that we could revive. I'm going to run past. So one thing you guys should learn about the Elder Dragons that the story doesn't really expressly talk about is that the Elder Dragons create minions, and those minions tend to form into hierarchies of strength, and each dragon creates some very particular prominent minions of themselves called champions. So that thing that destroyed Claw Island, Blightghast, that's a champion of Zaitan. Well, what about champions of Primordus? What about champions of Jormag? A lot of those you can get elsewhere in the open world. Kraukatoric's legacy is about one of his champions, or champions he keeps spawning. Champions that we've heard referred to so far as the beasts, but as we'll see through this event stage, is called the Shatterer. So here there's a little outpost called Terra Combuster with some Char who are training to fight. And you'll see that they have these buffs on them, that they're fed. This character is well fed and enjoys increased damage. Some of them are hungry. You can kill Devourers nearby to feed them, and there's a heart. But I think at one point during development, the devs were going to have all of this interact with this meta event we're dealing with. But in the end, they kind of don't. But we can get a little bit of information out of these guys, and some of them allude to the event nearby. Sharp Tongue Stew is the best thing you'll ever eat. My buddies eat here. They wouldn't know fine cuisine if they stepped in it. You got to try the stew. What are you talking about? Worm meat stew. It's great, and our very own chef makes the best batch you'll ever taste. Woo! You see that shadow over us there? There we go. That's the Shatterer up there. We're going to drag that out of the sky with the cannon nearby, and we're going to fight it. And I think the idea was that these guys were a warband that were going to interact, because check it out. Their warband's name is the Shatterer Warband. This is Shatter Spine and Shatter Mind and so on. So I did want to show you this just before the event starts so you guys understand their interaction here. These branded monsters threaten us daily. Let them come. We'll die before we surrender. Sounds like you need a hand. I'll fight with you. Good. Another soldier into the fray. I have one rule. Stand your ground. I'll cut down anyone who flees this battlefield, whether it be one of my men or you. So yeah, we can talk to them and see them a bit. But perhaps even more prominent, or definitely more prominent, over here you'll find a line of siege overlooking the battlefield. In fact, some of it's being fired right now. With launch pads. What these launch pads do is fling players into the air. If we stand on this, you've seen several of them over the videos for what it's worth. If we stand on this Asura device, we'll fly in the air and then we'll plummet to our death and we will die, just by the way. Players who get some of the expansions can learn to glide, and what they can do is when this big fight begins, they can fly in the air and do all kinds of things, which I'll talk about soon. But look, you've got turrets here, and you've got mortars here, and you've got patrolling Blood Legion. All of this will become active. I mean, it's technically active right now, but very necessary when we get this dragon out of the sky in this area, when Kraukatoric's legacy, the meta, pushes up. Moving over here, you'll also see there are Vigil. So remember, the Vigil, that's who we're with. And I dyed our armor, by the way, on this video. We're a little bit darker now. The Vigil are for fighting the dragons, right? And well, here we see them, many Char Vigil, but we see them prominently stationed on this battlefield. Here is a particular one called...
Some must fight so that all may be free.
War Master Smoke Tail. Kraukatoric corrupted this land, killing or twisting everything in its path. We are going to undo that damage one fight at a time. What are you fighting for, we ask? It says every one of Kraukatoric's little minions. We have our crosshairs on a big one, a giant beast that keeps Kraukatoric's madness going. Now, way back in the early demo conventions, the devs talked a lot about this meta and their design and hopes for this meta. A lot of it never manifested. I think the original idea is that there were going to be tons of dynamic events just always going in the area, and once enough of them were procced in the right way, you could fight the boss, and the more that were done, the easier it would be. So you'd have a bunch of well-fed Char, you'd have the cannon going, you'd have this, 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 and this. It doesn't work like that anymore. Now it's just you wait for a certain period of time, and events flare, you do the event, the boss spawns, and you try and kill the boss. So that's what we now have to wait for. Funnily enough, the first relevant event is not here at all. It's over here, back at Brand View. The the place where all the original players were deposited. There is an escort that spawns here, and it's not the escort to do with the Inquest Lab. It's a different one where we do some escorts that take us to the Great Northern Wall and back up. That is what I'm going to show you guys now. As an added bonus, I'm now going to go and get a ton of you guys, the viewers, to fill up a huge squad of loads of players, 40, 50 players, all together to fight this dragon. And we'll see whether we can take it out, because it's going to take a lot of manpower to do so. It's a side of Guild Wars 2 you haven't seen yet, and I'll be back to show you that very briefly. Alright guys, sitting back here at Brand View now, we have done some setups. So if you have a look here on the top left-hand side of my screen, you'll see some different user interface. This is kind of like being in a party, but like a big party. It's called squadding. There's a lot to talk about squads and how the user interface and stuff works, which we'll do in all due time. But just to show you here, oh gods, there's some kind of event nearby, but just to show you here, these green boxes, all of these boxes, all represent players. We've got 50 of them, and if I press M and have a look over at the battlefield here, Lowland Burns, where we were a second ago, you can see all these blue dots. These are all you guys. These are all the viewers of the series and the streams that have all banded together to try and take down this massive boss. This is so cool. And this is a huge side of Guild Wars 2, you know, large numbers of people coming to tackle great challenges that I have to show off at some point in the series, even though most of the main storyline is like solo or as much as 5-man content. So we've got all of our warriors here to take out the dragon. And now all we have to do is wait a few more minutes just for the event to start. It still here says Vigil and Sentinel forces are working to contain the threats posed by Krakatorix's minions. Well, here at Brand View, we'll very soon see something happen. So let's do it.
You'll be feeling that one for days.
We've amassed quite a crew of different people here now. Plenty of different char that are going to be hanging out. This is so cool. If this goes well, and we can actually take this boss out, because it's not guaranteed, for what it's worth, that we'll actually win. If we can take this boss out, it will be kind of amazing to do this for some of the other big moments in the story as we go forward. So keep an eye out, guys, if you're watching this as I upload the videos. There might be opportunities coming up. There it is. So Krakatorix's legacy just updated to say an assault is being planned against the Shatterer. The Vigil has begun collecting resources for the siege weaponry, and we have a certain amount of time to lure the Shatterer out. So if you look over here, you can see that now, despite the fact we're quite far away, there is actually an event that's gone live, and we can go deal with that. So I'm going to charge along here and follow these Sentinels, who I think are on their way to it. I actually thought that they'd have a little bit of dialogue on their way in, but maybe not. I think these guys come out from Brandview. This maybe once upon a time was a formal escort, and they've now got rid of it. But yeah, we get a Sentinel Scout. And just some other regular Sentinels come along too, with their massive guns, their Charzukas there. They're going up the river. Let's go, I don't know, should I follow them? Let's go up this way, straight through the Brand. That's the Great Northern Wall there. And we'll move to where this arrow is. So here we are at the Heretic Plain, and as we walk into some of the ruins, the old human ruins here, you'll see that the meta has now expanded into a regular event too. Collect siege pieces for Crusader Blackhorn. Siege weapon pieces receive 10 out of 50 so far. So we need to scour these hills in quite a large region. When you get to these big meta events designed for lots of players, the scope of the content really blows up, right? So there's a huge area of the wall for us to check. Let's see what he himself says.
So that all may be free.
What is it? Do you have any siege weapon parts for us? Why do you need siege weapon parts? He says, well, we're scavenging parts to rebuild a few siege weapons. Can you assist us? Why are you building weapons? To bring down the monster responsible for the desecration of this land. We want to blast out of the sky and kill it. First, we need the parts. Can you help? Sure, well, count me in. And we're off. Thank you. The Vigil is grateful for your assistance. So it might take a while to find all 50 parts for this because they're going to be hidden in all kinds of little areas. But with enough players, we might be all right. In fact, here you can see that this enemy here has a cog over its head. And it might just be that when we kill them, they might drop the siege part. So let's see. It's an Ascalonian ghostly siege engineer. And yeah, as he dies, you see we get a siege weapon piece on the floor. I can press F. It goes into my inventory here. It says it's an event item. And with the event item, I can return to the Crusader. And he'll thank me for it.
Last.
I have broken siege weapon pieces for you. Excellent. If you find any more, you know where to find me. Thanks, will do. So we've got to get 50 of them. 34 already we've done. And you'll see here that there's another timer. Time to remaining to lure out the Shatterer. Basically, if we don't build this weapon, if we don't go to this effort, the Shatterer won't deem there's a threat and the beast itself won't land in the brand. So, I'll see you guys in a second when we're done.
Fight to the last. Good haul. I've got to get these parts back. So finish up and bring me what you've got.
Wow, they got that done really quickly. So now he's got 50. With events like this, quite often the game gives an extra little bit of time, in this case 1 minute, for other players to hand in whatever they might be looking for. So if I had some siege weapon stuff and I want to get credit for the event, I don't miss out, basically. I can still give him the extras and get my reward. So just back here as well, you'll notice that there's lots of vigils standing around, and these guys are going to take the parts.
Time to pack it up. I've got siege engines to build and a dragon to blast.
So we're not actually under the effects of an event, but if you just use your eyes instead of relying too much on the user interface, you can actually watch them moving around and follow them along here. So we've done this in flying colors and perfect good time. See all the players we were with earlier, they're all running along with us now. The game has a way, and especially as we go into the expansions, the game has a way of unifying players just naturally through the events that they do and deal with, which can be really fun to see. So yeah, we're going to just keep following this escort up. We can maybe give them swiftness as well. If I had a warhorn, I could maybe blast swiftness on them and speed them up even quicker, because they got a little bit of a walk to get back to the front lines, but we should get there in pretty good order. I'll speed it up as we move. And here we go. We're on the precipice now, guys. Oh, I can feel a little bit of butterflies in my stomach here. Oh, this is going to be a big fight. Whew. Arriving once again. And here you'll see there's just an enormous number of players around.
It's too quiet. I need something to disembowel.
The meta is updated. Vigil and Sentinel forces have united in lowland burns. Ominous winds are blowing. If we look out on the horizon here, perhaps man a turret. That might be a nice idea. This Char's already on one, actually, as you can see. He's holding a cannonball running the turret. That's awesome. And here he is. Down he comes. The Shatterer. This is it, guys. Okay, so it's a really complicated event.
We cannot afford fear in times like these.
You can see on the top right, he's got a health bar. 15 minutes to kill him. If we don't kill him in 15 minutes, he will leave and continue wreaking havoc on this area of the world, and we have failed. I guess the idea being perhaps that we've ran out of ammunition or siege supplies and whatnot. So our line of siege is worthwhile. You can see all these different players are using it. Physically, they actually press F on the mortars and they can fire them. Because other players are on them, I can't. Mortars are good because what they can do is fire health packs, since it's just chaos down there. They can fire health packs for their allies to use down there, and they can also basically just fire damage and splash flak and stuff on opponents. This guy's just got off of this to let us use it for a second. The big cannons are even better. You've got shrapnel shells, which you can fire at the boss and the minions of the brand around that are spawning like mad to bleed them and do damage. And you can also use bombard, which has 10,000 range, to shoot the Shatterer himself. Look, the Shatterer just sieged us and did a ton of damage. And when you bombard the Shatterer, you can actually do good break bar damage and all kinds of extra assistance. So people will be firing from the back lines here. But the Shatterer sends mobs to the back line to attack our friends. So this is one of my human allies here. I'm going to use Fear Me to save him as we res. This is our humans that basically you got to defend the people that are on your turrets so that they can continue fighting the boss. But these big waves of mobs can do a lot of damage. We've really hit the Shatterer super hard here, guys. Oh my god, our team's doing amazing. This is you guys, the viewers of the videos, and you're doing so good. He's already on half health. Wow, lots of people dying there though, so you can choose as a player like what aspects you want to do. Here you can see it says the Shatterer is summoning pulsing crystal nodes to regenerate. Move to destroy them. So he's bowed down, becoming vulnerable, and is healing. So we have to come to these crystals, and we have to use crowd control stuff to break the break bars of the crystals and shatter them. Only when you break all 4 crystals, and you can see that there was one here, one we just broke, and one over there. Only once all of the crystals are broken can you get back to fighting the boss. You notice he's healing. Look at how much he's healed there. You see, he was about half health a minute ago, and now he's regenerated all the way back up there. So that's a huge thing to deal with. And then there's another really cool side to the fight, if I can get away of these planes. Oh my god, it's so dangerous, because we're not very high level either. You can use the jump pad. So if you look in the sky, look, these are players up there running along with bombs and things to fire down on the Shatterer and try and hit him really hard. So the Shatterer sometimes charges up massive attacks you can try to interrupt. Here, like this. Here, the Shatterer himself has a break bar now. And if they break that in time, I'll try and run in and use our rifle. I don't really have any great CC. No, so see how he flies up now? If we break the break bar, we could have knocked him on the floor. There's different areas you can target him. You can target the base of his tail there. This is why I equipped the rifle, by the way. So we can actually pressure him without going right under him. It's so dangerous in this area, and I don't want us to die, obviously. I don't want another peg leg. So I'm going to hold back a bit. Maybe we'd be better defending at the back. So we're just going to plink him away in the head, use kill shot and stuff on my mark. So yeah, there's just all these different mechanics you're going to be dealing with. The mobs in the area have got stuff as well. They're kind of special versions of brands you don't find elsewhere. So here's a supercharged devourer called a bombardier. And to kill these, you can kill them with a siege. You can kill them with the flying abilities. There are branded, I think they're gorillas maybe, or branded minotaurs too, which if they grab you, they never let go unless friends of yours in the area stun them. I need to be very careful here. I've just popped our heal. And shake them off. Otherwise, you're just stuck and you will die. So I'm really scared of that as well, because if we get caught away and nobody in the area... I mean, we've got like over 50 players here easily. So hopefully we'd be safe, but you never know. People tend to get tunnel vision on the boss. He's taking so much damage. This is great. He will regenerate again in a second. So if we can kill him before the next regeneration, that will be amazing. Let's keep shooting from back here. Oh, no, I'm down. Oh, this is so bad. The Shatterer's really low, though.
Strong.
Yes! He's down! Awesome! We slay the Shatterer. He flies off, and if you keep watching him, because he's so vulnerable, keep watching, he explodes into a million pieces in the background. Oh, wow. And it plays the victory music. We get a ton of rewards. The Shatterer has been defeated. Vigil and Sentinel forces will continue working to contain the threats posed by Kraukatoric's minions. So we get big rewards here. We get a special rare for doing the event because it was on this map. We get 2 rares guaranteed from this, a sword and pads. And if you check it out, you get this big dragon chest spawns as well, which we can loot. And it just gives us an enormous number of things here. So we get the Shatterer's crystal, an exotic item we can sell. We get shields. We get all kinds of things. There's like cake you can get from this guy. Some of his loot's really weird because it's in Blaze Ridge Steps. There's lots of bosses like this. But because this is one that's in Blaze Ridge and was like all the early promotional material for the game showed this boss, because it's so old in its design, you find really weird things in this loot table. You can get some of the best items in the game known as precursors from these chests. That's very, very cool. Actually, I don't know if you can get pre specifically from him, but there you have it, the Shatterer, guys. And yeah, it spawns very rarely, but if you get the people together, you can take this stuff out. I'm really glad he died right before we did, because we were in downstate there. That was scary as all hell. And as we progress, maybe we'll see some more other big minions. And yeah, it'll be a while, but eventually the brand and Kraukatoric will throw up another dragon like this, and we'll have to continue dealing with the threats. Let's see what Smoke Scale says now.
Victory.
I guess he's looped back to his original dialogue here. But there you have it, guys. There's reasons for big guilds to do this, because you can get decorations for your guild halls, all kinds of stuff. That is one of the meta events. I almost forgot to point out as well that this fight was given a big update in more recent years. Its launch date was very different to this, and frankly a lot worse. All this stuff with the jump pads is new. When they added that new stuff, they did add a new achievement category as well. So if I go to my general achievements, we're starting to get more familiar with this panel. As you can see, it becomes a big part of the game. If you go to the Shatterer, you'll see there's a ton of different achievements based on different ways to fight the boss. So shattering setup, smash the dragon, shattering countering evasion, medic, and these reward you for different things. Like, if you heal a lot of people with the medic packs that you can fire from the mortars, such as this here, I'll show you the animation now that no one's around. If you heal a lot of people with those, you can qualify for achievement progress. And you get various rewards for this, but the big reward is once you've done a ton of them, they actually give you a cool backpack, the Shatterer's branded back piece. And it's an exotic backpack you can get here. We can wear on the rest of our adventures. It would look a bit weird on our Vigil armor right now, but maybe I'll wear it in the upcoming episodes as a symbol of the fact we have now defeated this boss. It's just an example of some of the other cool loot you can get by participating in this content. Thanks very much, everybody who played this with me here. That was very cool. It was my plan to now go to Lion's Arch and deal with all the other stuff, but I guess since this took so long in the end, this will just be, I think, the first bonus video of this series. There you have it, guys. The brand. We won't be back here for a while now, but I'm really glad that we got to exhaust it as much as we can. There's even more high-level areas of the brand to see, but for now, we're going to return to LA and see what the Vigil were up to before they got tipped off to the events of Claw Island. Join me next time for that, guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you shortly.